you would all stand and join me for the pledge. Next item on the agenda is the public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the body on items that fall within the preview of the committee, but is not on tonight's agenda. Are there any members of the public? Okay. Seeing none, we will move right along. Next item on our agenda is the consent calendar. Is there any members looking to remove an item?
Move approval.
Second.
Can we include the minutes in that, Mr. Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry. Approval of the minutes.
So moved.
First and second, all in favor? Aye. Now the consent calendar.
Move approval again. Second.
There's a motion and a second for approval of the consent calendar. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. Okay, our next item on the agenda is major discussion items. We have none, so we will move to our regular agenda items. And that will be 4A. This is the Administration and Projects Committee. First item there is Bay Area Rapid Transit, BART East County Rail Extension Project, and this will be presented by Randy Ratchler of BART is here, but Ishan will present it.
Good morning, good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. My name is Hisham Raimi with CCTA. Staff will be seeking your approval of resolutions 1860P and 1861P in the next agenda item. Both of these resolutions will appropriate a total of $5.08 million in Measure J funds for the Antioch parking lot expansion project. Approximately $3.2 million of the funding is coming from Measure J savings programmed for eBART in our Measure J strategic plan. The remaining $1.8 million is going to come from East County BART parking access and other improvements category. Transplan concurred with this request at its October 11th meeting, and we have Rick Rattray from BART here. He's the project manager for eBART to provide you with an update on the eBART project and the need to expand the parking lot.
Welcome, Rick.
Good evening, everybody. Glad to be here and give you all the good news about eBART and let you know why we need a little bit more money that we saved. We didn't spend originally, so we're spending what we originally asked for, and that's build some more parking. So we really had a great success. We got a record ridership, and we're short on parking. So first, we're going to just kind of go through a little 1.5 minute video which shows you what it was like the day after opening. We'll go through what the ridership projections were, what they actually are, what other multimodal access options we're looking at, what the parking options we looked at are, what we've selected, which is a surface parking concept on adjacent land that we currently own, and the schedule to move that forward, and the budget and the funding plan, and the requested action. So just a minute and a half of your attention.
The first day of rush hour service for the new Antioch BART station. I arrived early, but even by 7:30, all 3 parking lots were nearly full, and commuters were parking on the frontage road. Clipper easily got me into the station and paid my parking fee. As I crossed the highway walkover, the train was coming into the station. I boarded, and the train took off 60 seconds later. The car behind me full, and my car at half capacity. It's so quiet you can easily carry on a conversation or make a phone call. The train stopped at the new Pittsburgh Center Station and picked up more commuters. Antioch residents and nearby denizens must have felt satisfaction as the up to 75-mile-per-hour high-tech clean diesel train passed hundreds of cars. When the train pulled into the transfer platform, the regular BART train was waiting, and you just walk on board to continue your trip. The commute into the city was uneventful. Leaving San Francisco, you'll notice one big change. It's no longer called the Pittsburgh Bay Point line. The sign reflects the new end of the line, Antioch. The commute back was also seamless. In off-rush hours, there may be a few minutes delay for the Antioch train. When I boarded, the outside temperature was 91. The air-conditioned temperature on board seemed 30 degrees cooler. In Antioch, Mark Jones reporting. It was the first.
So that was just to kind of give you what it looked like at opening day and to kind of summarize what the whole alignment was. Showed you a few things. One was that parking was in very short supply and in high demand. Looking here, when we did the environmental and adopted it in 2009, that represents the two blue bars. The ridership projections for the 2015 opening were 1,575 riders out of Antioch, and in 2030 it was projected to be 4,100. We updated this ridership in 2016 when we knew we were going to be open in 2018, and we came up with 2,270 riders out of Antioch per day. Currently, we're over 3,000 riders a day out of Antioch. So we're doubling what we initially projected, which is great news. It's well received. The problem is not enough parking, which we've all heard. So we are looking at a few things. One is we looked at a number of different multimodal access to improve pedestrian and bicycle access and transit connectivity. And we're looking at parking options. We've been looking at, next slide here. We've restriped some of the existing lots, got 35 new stalls. We've looked at some on-street parking in the vicinity, some surface parking, adding motorcycle parking. We've looked at attended assist, shared parking and other lots in the area, satellite park and ride in a number of places. We've been increasing carpooling out there with the app-based technology and trying to market some of the vacant spots downstream. So we really selected the surface parking concept as the best bang for the buck and the ability to give you the most amount of parking, which looks like it's sorely needed. So BART currently owns right adjacent to our parking lot an area that we use for storage during the construction. It's about 8 acres. And we've identified that we get a little over 800 spaces in this lot, and we're moving forward with environmental and design to bring this to fruition. So the schedule to do that is we want to complete the environmental and the design by this winter and have the BART board certify the environmental, adopt the project, and go into construction next summer and finish roughly a year later. So we come up with a funding plan. You can see that the original BART Antioch project budget was $524.9 million. We spent $510.7, leaving $14.2 million remaining. We've estimated the cost of the parking to be roughly $16 million, and the funding is identified below with 4.3 from BART, 3.65 from MTC, 3.25 Measure J eBART category, plus Measure J access funds of 1.9 and $3 million from ECRFA, totaling roughly 16.1. So we are requesting to make this come to fruition that CCTA appropriate $5.08 million in Measure J funds for the completion of the environmental design, construction, and construction management activities on the Antioch parking lot expansion project. So, any questions?
Commissioner Hudson?
Yeah, $16 million, excuse me, $16 million for a parking structure with how many parking spaces?
Parking lot with roughly 800, it's about 20,000 a space. Surface
Just
parking.
surface parking, okay.
Yes.
Commissioner,
I'm not
yes,
as familiar
Karen, go
with
ahead.
this, with my, okay, you had a slide that showed there was 14 million left over that wasn't spent, correct?
Correct.
And this is costing, there, okay, remaining funds 14.2 million, estimated cost of the parking lot is 16.1 million, and then the next paragraph talks about how you want to make up that 16.1. What happened to the 14.2 million?
The first four lines equates to the 14.2 million. Only the last item, Measure J access funds, is added to that.
Okay, I just,
The first four lines were what was unspent in the original
that
project.
equals the 14.2.
Correct, yes.
Okay. The CCTA isn't going to get to participate in any of the fees for the parking, are they? That's a rhetorical question.
Commissioner Pierce?
Yeah, and I should probably remember this because we've been working on it for so long, but when we started working on this, it was a long time ago. How many parking spaces were in the original lot?
Roughly 1,000,
Okay, so we're almost doubling it.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Arnridge?
First of all, I think this is a great project. I think the funding sources are all perfect. But Hisham, I have a question. Looks like BART is going to build this project. Is there any related construction that we have remaining in the area that would be impacted by this project?
I don't believe so. I think all of our Highway 4 construction
completely out of
projects
that.
are in the closeout stages.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Commissioner Trotter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It looks like that BART's not planning to take advantage of AB 8923 at this site. Is that correct?
That's another rhetorical
Yeah, right. But I'll let the gentleman next to you
saving it for the other town.
deal with
So,
that one.
if you'd like, this is a surface parking lot, so it doesn't preclude conversion to TOD at some time in the future. The market's not there right now, and that this may be a developable site in 5 years or 10 years, but in the interim, the parking's badly needed, and if it goes to a TOD at some point in the future, we'll have to figure out how to transfer the parking elsewhere so the people in East County aren't shortchanged.
And I guess the other thing is your slide number 4, interesting slide about the updates on your estimated ridership. What's missing, I guess, is the 5th bar, and that is, have you got an updated ridership forecast from the Antioch station for 2030? It must be more than 4,100, so how
Right,
much,
we're-
what are we talking about?
We are working on some of that, but one of the things we've noticed is that with the 3,000 trips a day and that we're getting now with 1,000 spaces, we are getting twice as many riders to the station that are driving, that are driving, where our original forecast was we were going to have 1,500 riders with 1,000 spaces. So the transportation modes coming to the station have dramatically shifted with the reduction in parking, and that's what we're seeing.
So the question I had, though, is does BART have an updated forecast for what the actual daily ridership is going to be for the Antioch station in 12 years, in 2030? It's 4,100 a couple years ago. Is it 5,000? What are we talking about?
So let me take a stab at it. You're absolutely right. We should upgrade the forecast, and we'll do that. But we do have a fair amount of data to this point, and we've exceeded 800,000 trips since opening day, and we've had 8,000 day trips from the station, or from the system, the corridor. We're averaging about 6,000 trips during the week and a couple of thousand on the weekend. So the forecasts have been exceeded by a large percentage. And this is a kind of a good problem to have. People were willing to use the system, and we have to address it. We've been working on this very diligently since the first day because we knew parking was going to be short. But I think you're right, Commissioner Trotter. I think it would be important for us to take a look at this to have a revised estimate of what the long-term game is going to look like. And we'll take that back to Bart, and we'll take a look at it.
It'd be good to know what the need is. Thank you. That's all I have.
Commissioner Mitchell, followed by Roman.
I want to follow up on that because, and I appreciate your doubling, but it'd still be 1,000 short. Are we constrained? Are you constrained by the footprint? That's all the land you have.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking is, people who are in that 1,000 that don't get a parking space are going to think, why didn't you plan better? So, I know stacked parking is more expensive, but did you look at what a 2 or 3 story would be? I know I don't appreciate it when lay people come in and ask me questions when I know the answer, but that's where I'm going, Joel. Maybe what's Bart's plan to tell those people, hey, we only had this much land and we can only build these more parking slots? Is there an outreach to try and get people more to take I don't know. It's money well spent. I'm just saying the public these days is being very critical when it isn't really solving the problem.
So I think you're right, Commissioner Mitchoff, and I think we have to look at a variety of ways to address this. The EIR does identify some additional parking in 2030. The EIR says we're at 10,000 trips. We have to build an additional 1,600 parking spaces. There's some sites on the north side of the freeway that are identified as potential expansions. There's no roadway there right now, no bridge over the tracks, but those are potential locations for additional parking. We're working with the City of Brentwood and the Brentwood Transit Center, which would provide 1,000 parking spaces that would connect with Tri-Delta on a straight shot, as the mayor likes to say it. You get on the freeway and you're at the center without a lot of congestion out there. So that'll give some relief when that Brentwood Transit Center is built. The City of Pittsburgh is looking at striping some spaces around their city hall and the courthouse, which would add potentially a couple of hundred spaces. There's about 40 spaces on Bliss Avenue daily today, and we're trying to market that so people will take advantage of it. What happened was there was a shift east, so there's spaces available in North Concord. Martinez probably has the most spaces out there now than any of the stations. It freed up some spaces in Concord, but you're right. As this system continues to grow and as East County continues to grow, future parking is going to be an issue. We just have to keep ahead of it as best we can.
Commissioner Roman.
Yeah, besides the Brentwood Transit Center, Tri-Delta also has 2 properties that we've purchased for parking rides in Oakley and Antioch. The land is purchased. We're just looking for funding to build the parking lots. And so we're It wasn't on? Okay. Maybe someone was giving me the short term. All right.
Mr. Chairman, will you let me get out of the hole I just dug for myself? That's Commissioner Romick is absolutely right, and I failed to mention those opportunities.
It didn't stay on, I guess. Yeah, I had a question that you might or might not be able to answer. I was wondering if you'd been able to tell where those people are going to, and is there enough room on the trains for them through the already impacted areas, or if that's where they're going?
There are ways to tell where they're going to. I do not have that data.
That you what?
I do not have that data available.
That would be interesting to know, too.
The trains are crowded, yes.
If there's adequate cars on the trains, for example. I know that was already true because I'm one of the people who rides them to get here. Is there any...
So success brings with it a multiple of problems, and parking is the first of those. When we solve this parking problem with this additional 800 parking spaces, we're going to have to start looking at ways to fund some additional cars because the ridership is growing. And it's my belief that the ridership will continue to grow, and we'll have to address the crowding on not just the BART system itself, but the BART to Antioch extension. And we've had some preliminary conversations about that. There are some cars available in the existing contract that could be acquired, but first we want to get the parking situation completed, then we'll try to get ahead of the next problem of overcrowding and work on trying to find ways to purchase a couple cars.
Such a problem.
That's a good problem.
Commissioner Taylor?
Oh, yes, and also, I don't know, Joel, in this request, and I didn't see it, maybe I missed it, weren't we supposed to also purchase 2 cars?
No, this, again, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have had some preliminary conversations about 2 cars. That's not part of this solution here. We want to be sure we build the parking, get that up and going, and we'll have conversations with you and Director Romick and the staff here at CCTA to see if we can't find a way to partner to buy the 2 additional cars that will be needed.
Okay, and then at Transplant the other night, I did bring up the fact that Brentwood is averaging about anywhere from 500 to 550 permits. So we're going to, that parking lot is going to fill up within minutes again. So I'm also pursuing, when I say I, the council, the city, we're also pursuing a parking lot adjacent to a transit area right now, temporary. So the squeeze is out in East County because Oakley is building like crazy. We're also doing the same. So the parking issue is not going to go away, but at least we're not waiting for it all to happen. At least this is probably a very small Band-Aid. But it's a Band-Aid that, it's a tourniquet anyway. So anyway, I would appreciate to make the motion, I guess. Do we make
And
a
I'll
motion?
second it. Thank you for making a motion.
Okay, this is to receive the report. Okay.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, we will send it following the meeting, yes.
Isha?
Mr. Chairman, do we need to take public comment? There might be people that want to talk about this. I don't know.
We do, not sure if this is under the next item now.
Both at the same time.
So the first item is the update that we received
Yeah, the
from...
update is what we're going through
Yeah.
now, and we got a motion and a second to receive that report. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next item that is before us is to seek approval to fund the expansion of the BART to Antioch parking lot.
So moved.
Second.
No report? Okay, so
Public
there's
comment.
a motion and a second. Now we do have public comment.